Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel. On this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the Bryansk direction. According to information we have, during the previous night, the Ukrainians conducted many attempts to cross the border and to answer the Bryansk direction in Klimovo region. That attack was repelled according to the Russian sources. First, the Russians were saying that there were around one sabotage and reconnaissance group who made attempt to cross the border, and later we got additional details about that attack, and according to information we have, the Ukrainians introduced around 200 soldiers and significant number of vehicles in this direction. The attack was repelled, but it doesn't mean that Ukrainians are going to stop. Most likely during the upcoming day of the 22nd of August, the Ukrainians will continue making attempts to capture additional territories now along the border with Belarus and Russia. Later, the official Telegram channel of the group of forces North stated and gave a report about the situation. They clarified the number of Ukrainians that were involved in that attack, around 200 soldiers. And the most important, that the group of forces North stated that Ukrainians have concentrated along the border with the Bryansk region. So this is the Bryansk region, with the border with Kursk region and with the border with Belgorod region, around 33% of their entire army that can conduct a successful offensive operation. 33% of Ukrainian forces are concentrated exactly in this point, and the Russians are saying that they have no doubts that the Ukrainians in the very near future are going to begin a full-scale offensive operation in the Bryansk direction, and they will continue offensive operation in the Kursk direction, and that Ukrainians are planning to continue their offensive operation in Belgorod direction. So this is not like how to say, offensive operation to conquer the territories or something like this. This is something like ultimatum to Vladimir Putin to begin the negotiation process and to restore control the constitutional order of Ukraine at the level of 1991. Now let's move to the Sudzha direction. We have additional updates from this territory. During the previous nights, the Russian sources published the video of how they were FPV droning the Ukrainians inside of the village by the name of Counteroffensive. This video confirms the presence of armed forces of Ukraine on the territory of the village, and based on this video we have adjusted the map and added additional territory under complete Ukraine control. As for different mappers, for example, pro-Ukrainian mappers show control over the territory between Koreneva itself, Vishnevka, Snagast, and under the Ukrainians. So we have adjusted the map, we have adjusted this part in the favor of contested area. Furthermore, we continue receiving a lot of updates from the village of Olgovka, from the main road between Koreneva and the mainland, of significant number of FPV drone attacks on Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian positions. The Ukrainians suffer significant losses, but they are not stopping. Very interesting video we got from the road between Zhuravli and Kremennoye. This video was published by the Ukrainian sources, and in this video we can see the damage or destroyed Russian tank as a result of FPV drone strike from the Ukrainian side. The thing is that according to a map of Syrsky, this territory is already under complete Ukraine control, including the village of Stepnukhovka. But now we see that there is a Russian tank, and now we have some doubts whether the Ukrainians do have control over Stepnukhovka, or the Russians conducted a series of counteroffensive on the line Kremennoye-Stepnukhovka with the purpose to cut the Ukrainian forces on the territory of Zhuravli and to cut the Ukrainian forces who are currently located along the railways, trying to establish or create something like a cauldron for the Ukrainian forces. So let's wait what is going to be next, but obviously something interesting might happen in this direction, and I'm talking that the Ukrainians might be encircled. Now let's talk about the village of by the name of Nechayev. Today the Russian sources published the video of from inside of the village. We see a Russian squad Arbat, what group of forces forces, and these soldiers were saying that as a result of clashes they managed to secure and to restore control over the village by the name of Nechayev. Since the beginning of the Kursk offensive operation, we haven't received even a single report that Ukrainians managed to enter this territory, but now we got a report that the Russians managed to restore. Most likely the Ukrainians entered the territory with the sabotage and reconnaissance group, but this is very interesting. Maybe the situation in this area is not the same, doesn't have anything common with the situation on the ground. So let's wait for additional updates, and maybe we will adjust the map in the very near future. Now let's move to the eastern Sudzha direction. Today we got some updates from different mappers. According to them, the village of Kalmakov and the territory between Cherkaska, Konopelka and Agranom was captured by the Ukrainians. Furthermore, we continue receiving videos from the village of Ruska Konopelka. There are very heavy clashes right now there. The Russians during the previous night were bombing this territory heavily. Ukrainian soldiers were discovered on the territory of the village, which confirms that either the territory is in the contested area or already the southwestern part was already captured by the Ukrainians. In this video we can see the Russian reconnaissance drone flying above the ruins of the village. We see a very big fire anomalies, big number of fire anomalies, significant number of houses were destroyed, and this video confirms that there are very heavy clashes, and most likely the Russians would be forced to fall back under the pressure of the armored forces of Ukraine. We'll see anyway. Now let's move further, and then let's talk about the Pokrovsk and the other directions. As for the Pokrovsk direction, we have additional changes on the ground. The Ukrainian sources published the video how they were counterattacking the Russian forces from the village of Vuhledar to the south. In this video we can see the armored vehicle of 151st Mechanized Brigade of the Armored Forces of Ukraine. They were counterattacking the Russians to the south of Vuhledar, and this video shown us the line of combat contact and the edge geolocated and confirmed Russian positions. So the Ukrainian vehicle was moving from the north, from the city of Vuhledar. So it started somewhere here. The video started somewhere at this point. Ukraine vehicle got this line, and then he reached these positions and this position, and from this position the Ukrainians were attacking these three line. This video confirms that this tree line and the territory to the south east of this area was completely captured by the Russians. We have adjusted the map. During the previous night, we got additional updates about the Russian progress inside of the village of Vuhledar, and according to different mappers, the Russians managed to improve their positions and to capture everything until the Pushkina Street. This information was confirmed by different neutral mappers. Now let's talk about Novohrodivka. During the previous night, we started receiving updates about the clashes on the territory of the city itself. Pro-Russian sources reported significant progress in the southeastern part of the city, and later this information was confirmed also by neutral sources. So summarizing everything, during the previous 12 hours the Ukrainians managed to improve their positions along the railways and to answer the first blocks of the city. Currently the Russians entered the low-rise building area, and they, let's say, reached the high-rise citadel in the southeastern part of the Novohrodivka. Now everything depends on how fast the Russians are able to capture, to move through this part. If they are able to do this very fast, then the entire Novohrodivka will fall very soon. Now let's talk about the southern direction. During the previous 12 hours we got additional updates from different mappers. Pro-Ukrainian sources confirmed additional progress of the armored forces of Russian Federation, and during the previous 12 hours the Russians captured all these fields and forced the Ukrainians to fall back. The Ukrainians suffer significant problems with supply and support due to the fact that the Russians control the supply lines, turning them into the death roads. So the Ukrainians are falling back towards more reliable positions, but currently nobody can tell for sure where exactly the more or less reliable positions are. And furthermore, we got reports from pro-Russian sources that the Russians have also established complete control over the village of Ptiche. If you remember, yesterday we were talking that the first Russian squads have already entered Kalinovo, but we still haven't received anything that can confirm this, neither the video geolocations nor the changes on the ground from different mappers. Anyway, there are very heavy clashes. The Ukrainians are falling back without any chances to slow down or to stop the Russians. Now let's move further. We continue receiving updates from Vuhledar direction. During the previous night, during the previous 12 hours, the Russians published additional batch of videos of how they were bombing the coal mines. The Russians are preparing the foothold before the full-scale ground operation, so let's wait what is going to be next. Very interesting details are coming from Konstantinovka. Today the Telegram channel of the 79th Air Assault Brigade published the video that there is a panic between the officers and the commanders of the 79th Brigade. They are running from one apartment to another, they are running from one room to another, and later there was a post that's from the same brigade that most likely the panic situation among the officers of 79th Brigade is connected with the Russian flag that was raised somewhere in Konstantinovka. So most likely today we're gonna receive the first video with the Russian flag from a very unexpected place, which will force mappers to adjust maps significantly in, of course, Russian favor. Now let's move further. Let's talk about the Chasiv Yar direction. The Russians paused the situation completely. We just continue receiving different updates of FAB strikes in the territory, but according to information we have currently, the Russians are not moving inside of the territory of the Chasiv Yar. Now the Russians continue their attempts to improve the flanks to the north through the village of Kalinovo towards the village of Orekhovo-Vasilivka and Grigorovka. During the previous night, according to different sources, the Russians improved their positions and entered this small forest and began clearing this territory. Most likely, even before additional progress in Chasiv Yar, the Russians will try to capture the village of Grigorovka. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds you, we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.